Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. We are calling it iPhone.
More than 10 years ago, Steve Jobs took the stage at the Macworld convention and announced a product that would alter the world of tech and change our daily lives forever. The first iPhone was revolutionary and introduced features like multi-touch, which would go on to become an industry standard.
And boy, have we patented it.
Since then, we've seen upgrades each year. The successor of the original iPhone was the iPhone 3G. Just as the name would suggest, they added support for 3G cellular networks. In addition, they also added the App Store. Before the App Store, the only way to get applications onto your iPhone was through jailbreaking or downloading crappy watered-down web apps. The naming scheme is still a little bit confusing to me. Whenever I think of 3G, my mind goes to third generation, and this was the second iPhone Apple ever made. The iPhone 3GS was 2 times faster, had a better camera, and the ability to capture video. In addition to that, they also added a compass, which I thought was pretty neat. Here's where things really start to pick up. The iPhone 4 had a brand new design of glass and stainless steel. They gave this phone an upgraded camera, as well as adding on a selfie camera. They also added the Retina display, which had 4 times denser pixels than the previous generation iPhone. And most importantly, they announced FaceTime, which would become the standard for Apple-to-Apple video communication. To this day, FaceTime still feels like a cross between sci-fi and magic. This was a pretty big deal. This was the first time video calls were made widely available on mobile phones. Moving on to the iPhone 4S, it had a better chipset, better battery, and a phenomenal camera. Apple also added a virtual assistant.
What is the weather like today?
I remember the first week this was out in stores, people would line up to ask Siri stupid questions. The iPhone 5 was slimmer, taller, faster, and they also did away with 30-pin, and replaced it with a faster, more promising connection they call Lightning. As far as the iPhone 5C goes, they made this one plastic, colorful, and cheap, just like the good old days. The iPhone 5S was 2 times faster, had a better battery, and most importantly, they added a thumbprint scanner. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus were the first iPhones to come in 2 different physical sizes. They came with a new design, better performance, better battery, and looked fantastic. As much as I personally liked the idea of the iPhone 6 Plus, I could never actually use one. Whenever I tried to put one in a case and in my pocket, it looked like I had a small book in my pants. The iPhone 6S and 6S Plus were kind of a mixed bag. They were incrementally faster, had better battery, better performance, everything you'd expect. But the real reason that you would upgrade to one of these things is that they could shoot in 4K. 4K on a smartphone. If you'd said this 2 years prior, people would have thought you were insane. The iPhone SE was an iPhone 6S crammed down into the form factor of an iPhone 5S, a phone made specifically for the people that cherished their iPhone 5 and 5S, but still needed something more powerful. The features of the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus are extremely straightforward. They were faster, had better cameras, and home buttons that didn't actually move, even though they feel like they do. And to the dismay of most, they removed the headphone jack. The iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are a hybrid of the 4 and the 7. The front and back are glass and they have stainless steel sides. They have better performance than the previous generation, wireless charging, but truthfully aren't all that impressive to me. In my personal opinion, these phones would be more suitably named as the iPhone 7S and the 7S Plus. It just doesn't feel next generation. What's the trend here? Incremental improvements to battery, camera, screen size, overall speed, and a design change every few years. I'm not saying these are bad things necessarily, quite the opposite. They find a way to make marginal yearly improvements, and that's all well and good. But now let's talk about the iPhone X. It takes the marginal improvement formula and beats the shit out of it. This is something truly fitting for the 10th anniversary of the iPhone. It has a gorgeous high-definition edge-to-edge OLED display. The screen is so big they removed the home button and Touch ID. What did they replace Touch ID with? Face ID. Facial recognition software in your pocket. It's amazing! And here's something they didn't mention in the keynote because it would make their own laptop look bad. The new processor in this iPhone is more powerful than what they have in their current MacBook. I think this is exactly what Apple needed in order to stay competitive and relevant in today's market. And I couldn't be more excited to see what they have up their sleeve for next year. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to share it. As always, my name is Jack Orion with Jack's Max. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.